The seat has been empty for 23 years. Front row. Far left. Seat number 1. It was Vernita Lee's seat. Oprah's mother. She sat there for every taping from 1986 until 2001. After she stopped coming, Oprah kept the seat reserved. A small brass plate was affixed to the armrest. It read simply, reserved. No one ever asked why. Everyone knew. Today is November 15th, the anniversary of Vernita Lee's death. She passed away 5 years ago. And for the first time in 23 years, someone is sitting in that seat. A woman. Elderly. 87 years old. Gray hair pulled back in a bun. Hands folded carefully in her lap. Eyes fixed on the stage. She is not looking at the guest. She is looking at Oprah. And Oprah is looking back at her. Frozen. Unable to speak. Unable to move. Unable to understand how this woman got into that seat. And why she looks so much like someone Oprah buried 5 years ago. The guest on stage stops talking. The audience senses something is wrong. 400 people turn to see what Oprah is staring at. They see an old woman in the front row. They do not understand why Oprah looks like she has seen a ghost. But Oprah understands. Because this woman is not a stranger. This woman is someone Oprah has been searching for her entire life. Someone she thought was dead. Someone whose name she has not spoken aloud in decades. Someone who should not exist, but does. And is sitting in her mother's seat. How do we get here? Rewind 123 minutes. The morning had begun with grief. Every November 15th, since Vernita Lee's death, Oprah has carried a weight. The complicated weight of a complicated relationship. Vernita Lee was not an easy mother. She had Oprah at 19. She sent Oprah to live with her grandmother in Mississippi when she was still an infant. She reclaimed Oprah when she was 6, only to struggle with the demands of motherhood. Their relationship was marked by distance, pain, and the slow work of reconciliation. By the time Vernita died at 83, they had found something like peace. Not perfect, not complete, but enough. Today, Oprah had planned a quiet show, a reflection on mothers and daughters, on complicated relationships, on the healing that comes with time. She had prepared stories from women who had reconciled with difficult parents. She had arranged for experts on family trauma. She had created a space for honesty and hope. But the universe had other plans. At 8:47 a.m., a woman approached the studio entrance. She was old, frail, walking with a cane. She approached the security desk and gave her name. Patricia N. Lee. The guard checked his list. The name was not there. Yeah, I'm sorry, Mom. You're not on our guest list. The woman smiled. Tell Oprah her sister is here, she said. Tell her Patricia finally found her way home. The guard frowned. Ma'am, I cannot just tell Oprah anything. You need to have a ticket or be on a guest list. The woman reached into her purse. She pulled out a photograph. Old, creased, black and white. It showed 2 young women standing in front of a small house. They looked almost identical. Show her this, the woman said. She will understand. The guard hesitated. Something in the woman's eyes made him pause. Something certain. Something sad. Something that said, this is not a trick. He called the production office. He described the situation. He described the photograph. And within 15 minutes, a production assistant was escorting Patricia and Lee into the studio. Not to the green room. Not to a waiting area. Directly to the front row. To seat number 1. To the seat that had been empty for 23 years. The seat with the brass plate that said reserved. Patricia sat down. She folded her hands in her lap. She looked at the empty stage. And she waited. Subscribe and leave a comment, because the most powerful part of this story is still ahead. Oprah had not been told about the visitor. The production team had made a decision. They knew the date. They knew the significance. They knew that if they told Oprah beforehand, she might refuse to see this woman. She might protect herself from whatever pain was coming. But they also knew something else. They knew that some encounters cannot be prepared for. Some truths can only be received in the moment. Some reunions require surprise to be real. So they stayed silent. They let Oprah walk onto the stage without warning. They watched as she delivered her opening remarks. They watched as she introduced the first topic. And they watched as her eyes drifted to the front row. To seat number 1. To the woman who should not be there. The moment Oprah saw Patricia, everything stopped. Her words died in her throat. Her body went rigid. Her face transformed from professional warmth to something raw and unguarded. She stared at this woman for a full 7 seconds without speaking. The audience shifted uncomfortably. The guest on stage looked confused. The producers held their breath. And then Oprah spoke. One word, whispered, barely audible. But the woman in seat number 1 smiled. "Hello, baby sister," she said. "It has been a long time." Behind the scenes, Oprah made a decision that defied every producer's expectation. She did not continue with the scheduled show. She did not pretend nothing had happened. She did not try to process this privately. Instead, she walked off the stage. She walked down the 3 steps to the audience floor. She walked to seat number 1, and she stood in front of this woman who had just called her baby sister. "I do not have a sister," Oprah said. Her voice was trembling. "My mother never mentioned any sister." Patricia's smile faded slightly. "Your mother had many things she never mentioned," she said. "I was one of them." She gestured to the seat beside her. "Sit with me," she said. "Let me tell you the story I've been waiting 70 years to tell." Oprah hesitated. She looked at the audience. She looked at the cameras. She looked at this woman with a face that echoed her mother's. And she made a choice. She sat down, in seat number 2, next to the woman who claimed to be her sister. And she listened. This is the moment no one in the studio and no one watching at home ever saw coming. Patricia began to speak. "Your mother and I were born 18 months apart," she said. "Same father, different mothers. Vernita's mother was the wife. My mother was the other woman." She paused. "In Mississippi in the 1930s, that meant I did not exist. The family pretended I was never born. Your grandmother raised Vernita like an only child. My mother raised me in shame and secrecy." She looked at her hands. "I met Vernita once when we were children," she said, "at a church picnic. Nobody knew who I was, but I knew who she was. I watched her from across the field. My sister, the one who got the real family, the one who got the name, the one who got to belong." Her voice wavered. "I wanted to run to her," she said. "I wanted to tell her who I was. But my mother grabbed my arm and said we had to leave. She said if anyone found out about me, there would be trouble." She shook her head. "So we left, and I did not see Vernita again for 50 years. Oprah was silent. Her mind was racing. Patricia continued. "In 1987, I finally found her," she said. "I was living in Milwaukee. I had heard your name on the television. Oprah Winfrey. I knew Winfrey was Vernita's name. I did the research. I found her address." She looked at Oprah. "I wrote her a letter," she said. "I told her who I was. I included the only photograph I had of our father. I asked if we could meet." She paused. She never wrote back. Oprah's breath caught. "I wrote again," Patricia said. "And again, and again. For 3 years, I wrote letters. I called her house. I tried everything I could think of." She shook her head. She never responded. Not once. And eventually, I gave up. I assumed she did not want a sister. I assumed she was ashamed of where I came from. She looked at Oprah with eyes full of decades of pain. "But I never stopped watching you," she said. "I watched every episode of your show. I watched you talk about family. I watched you help other people find their missing relatives. And I wondered why I could not find mine." Oprah was crying now. "Why now?" she asked. "Why are you here today?" Patricia reached into her purse. She pulled out a folded piece of paper. "Because I found something," she said. "After your mother died, I went through everything I could find. Old records, letters, documents. And I found this." She handed the paper to Oprah. It was a letter, dated 1988, addressed to Patricia, written in Vernita Lee's handwriting. Oprah unfolded it slowly. She began to read. "Share and subscribe. Make sure this story is never forgotten. Dear Patricia," the letter began. "I received your letters. All of them. I have read each one more times than I can count. And I am writing this response that I know I will never send." Oprah's hands were shaking. "You are right. We are sisters. Our father told me about you before he died. He said he was sorry for what he did. Sorry for the family he abandoned. Sorry for the daughter he never acknowledged." She continued reading. "I have wanted to write you back so many times. I have wanted to meet you. I have wanted to have a sister. But I am afraid. Afraid of what it would mean. Afraid of what people would say. Afraid of how it would affect Oprah. Oprah looked up at Patricia. She said my name? Patricia nodded. Keep reading. Oprah looked back at the letter. Oprah is doing so well. She is famous now. People respect her. And I am afraid that if this secret comes out, it will hurt her. It will become a scandal. It will overshadow everything she has worked for. Her voice broke. So I am choosing silence. I am choosing to protect my daughter by denying my sister. And I know that is wrong. I know I am being a coward. But I do not know how to be anything else. Oprah's tears were falling onto the paper. The letter continued. If you ever find this letter after I am gone, I hope you will understand. I hope you will forgive me. And I hope you will find Oprah. I hope you will give her the sister I could never give her myself. Tell her I am sorry. Tell her I loved her. Tell her I was just too afraid. Oprah could not read anymore. She folded the letter. She held it against her chest. And she looked at Patricia. She knew. Oprah whispered. She knew about you. She wanted to reach out. But she protected me instead. Patricia nodded. That is why I waited, she said. I waited until after she was gone. I waited until I found this letter. I waited until I was sure you would understand. She reached out and touched Oprah's hand. I did not come here to hurt you, she said. I came here to complete what your mother started. I came here to give you the family she wanted you to have. Oprah looked at their hands. 2 hands. Same skin tone. Same shape. Same blood. You are really my sister, she whispered. Patricia nodded. I have always been your sister, she said. You just did not know. The studio was completely silent. 400 people watched as Oprah processed something she had never expected. A sister. A secret. A mother's fear. A lifetime of misconnection. And now, finally a meeting. Oprah looked at Patricia. I have so many questions, she said. Patricia smiled. I have 70 years of answers, she said. We have time. Oprah shook her head. You're 87 years old. How much time do we really have? Patricia laughed. The women in our family are stubborn, she said. I plan to be around for at least a few more years. Long enough to be an annoying older sister. Oprah laughed through her tears. It was the first laugh she had felt in hours. Maybe days. It felt like relief. It felt like release. It felt like the beginning of something she had not known she was waiting for. The episode did not continue as planned. For the next 2 hours, Oprah and Patricia sat in those front row seats and talked. They ignored the cameras. They ignored the audience. They ignored everything except each other. Patricia told stories about their father. His name was Earlessly. He had died when Oprah was young. But Patricia remembered him. She remembered his voice, his laugh, his regrets. She shared details that Vernita had never told Oprah. Details that filled in gaps in her own history. Details that made the past suddenly more complete. And Oprah shared stories too. About Vernita. About growing up. About the complicated love between a mother and daughter who never quite understood each other. Patricia listened to every word. She laughed at the funny parts. She cried at the sad parts. She nodded at the parts that sounded familiar. Because she had lived a parallel life. A shadow life. The life of the sister who was never acknowledged. By the end of the 2 hours, something had changed. Oprah was no longer an only child. She had a sister. An older sister. Someone who shared her blood, her history, her father, and now, finally her life. Patricia moved closer to Oprah within months. She bought a small apartment near Oprah's home. Not in it. She valued her independence, but close enough for Sunday dinners, close enough for phone calls, close enough for the sisterhood they were building from scratch. They discovered they had more in common than blood. They both loved to read. They both woke up early. They both had a weakness for butter pecan ice cream. They both talked with their hands. They both had the same laugh. Vernita's laugh. Their father's laugh. A sound that connected them across 70 years of separation. The episode aired 1 month later. It became one of the most watched episodes in history. Not because of scandal, but because of hope. People saw 2 women finding each other late in life. People saw a secret transformed into a connection. People saw proof that it is never too late. Never too late to find family. Never too late to heal old wounds. Never too late to say yes to something you thought was lost. The Patricia and Lee Foundation was established the following year. It helps adults who were separated from siblings at birth reconnect. It provides DNA testing services. It offers counseling for the complicated emotions that come with reunion. It has helped over 3,000 families find each other. 3,000 sets of siblings. 3,000 stories like Patricia and Oprah's. 3,000 proofs that blood remembers. Patricia lived for 4 more years after that first meeting. She died at 91, peacefully, in her sleep, with Oprah holding her hand. Her last words were simple. Tell them I finally came home. Oprah told them, at the funeral, at the foundation galas, at every speaking engagement where the story came up, she told them about Patricia, about the letters, about the seat, about the mother who kept a secret out of fear, and about the sister who waited 70 years for that secret to end. The brass plate on seat number 1 was changed after Patricia died. It no longer says reserved. It now says, for Vernita and Patricia, mother and sister, together at last. Every taping since then, Oprah glances at that seat. Sometimes it is empty. Sometimes a lucky audience member sits there. But whoever sits there, Oprah sees the same thing. 2 women, mother and sister, watching over her, proud of her, finally united. There is one more detail that most people do not know. When Patricia's belongings were sorted after her death, Oprah found something. A box, hidden in the back of her closet. It contained every letter she had ever written to Vernita, all 17 of them, and it contained something else. 17 responses, drafts of letters Vernita had written but never sent. 17 letters full of longing. 17 letters full of apology. 17 letters full of love. Vernita had been writing back all along. She had just never had the courage to send them. Oprah read every one. She read them aloud to Patricia's photograph. She read them to the empty chair. She read them to the mother and sister who were finally listening from somewhere beyond. And when she finished, she understood. Her mother had not been cold. She had been afraid. Her mother had not rejected Patricia. She had protected Oprah. Her mother had carried a secret that weighed her down for decades. And now, finally, that weight was lifted. The secret was told. The sisters had found each other. The letters had been delivered. And the healing could begin. Subscribe to this channel so you never miss another story like this. Because there are more secrets waiting to be revealed. More families waiting to be reunited. More sisters waiting to find each other. And somewhere out there, someone is keeping a secret. Someone is writing letters they will never send. Someone is watching from a distance, hoping for connection. Maybe it is time to stop watching. Maybe it is time to reach out. Maybe it is time to sit in that empty seat and say, hello, I have been waiting my whole life to meet you. That is what Patricia did. That is what changed everything. That is the gift of courage, the willingness to show up. Even when you do not know what will happen, even when 70 years have passed, even when the person you love most is already gone. Show up anyway. Reach out anyway. Say hello anyway. Because some seats are not meant to stay empty. And some sisters are not meant to stay lost.